Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Call the meeting of the Fraser Planning Commission for March 3rd, 2021 to order at 7:03 p.m. If you'll join me in starting our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
I pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
to the flag of the United
United
States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll now read the notice of the electronic public meeting. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services issued an order on February 4th, 2021. Am I right? Yeah.
Yep.
That prohibits indoor gatherings of more than 10 people from more than 2 households. And the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity issued emergency rules on October 14th, 2020 regarding remote work by employees when feasible. In addition, the City of Fraser has declared a local state of emergency due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. To ensure against violating the indoor gathering prohibition and in the interest of achieving the goal expressed in the MDHHS order and the MDLEO rules to protect the
We
public
don't
health,
see the,
particularly during a local state of emergency, the Fraser Planning Commission
Yep.
electronically on March 3rd, 2021,
okay,
in accordance with the Open Meetings Act as amended on December 22nd, 2020, using Zoom for video conferencing and public access. This notice is required to ensure that those wishing to observe and or participate in the meeting have the opportunity to do so. The public can participate via the Zoom application, internet access via the Zoom website, and or via telephone using the Zoom telephone number and meeting ID. Public will be able to hear Planning Commission members and will be permitted to speak for up to 5 minutes during the public participation portion of the agenda. Please note that callers and viewers will automatically be muted and must remain muted until called upon to speak by the chair. Written comments will be accepted prior to the date and time no later than 4:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting by the building department at zoning@micityoffraser.com, which is the method by which members of the public may contact members of the public body to provide input or ask questions on any business that will come before the public body at the meeting. Public hearing comments will be heard during any public hearing that is conducted during the meeting, and other comments will be heard or reviewed during public participation. In the event of a change in the status of statewide or local states of emergency, Planning Commission meeting may be changed from a remote meeting to a live in-person meeting to be held at Fraser City Hall, 33000 Garfield Road, Fraser, Michigan, 48026, on the same date and at the same time. City will post notice of any change in method of conducting the meeting from a remote meeting to an in-person live meeting and or any change in the meeting place for this meeting to the city's website at www.ci.fraser.mi.us. Interested parties should periodically check for such changes or contact the city clerk's office at 586-293-3100. Pertinent information relating to the proposed, well, there's no special land use request, but any site plans may be reviewed at the Fraser Building Department during regular business hours, which are 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday at Fraser City Hall, 33000 Garfield Road, Fraser, Michigan. Questions regarding the proposed amendment can be directed to the planner, care of Building Department at 586-293-3100, extension 154. Written comments may be submitted to the Fraser Building Department at 33000 Garfield Road, Fraser, Michigan, 48026, or by email to the building department at zoning@micityoffraser.com up to 4:30 p.m. of the meeting date. City of Fraser Planning Commission thanks all of you for your understanding and support as we all attempt to navigate these challenging times together. All right, with that said, we'll go to agenda item number 2, roll call. I want to remind the members to include where they are remotely connecting to our meeting from. Ms. Traxler, please.
Member Bar, Member Barr, can you hear us? Oh, you're on mute.
That's the problem. Now can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, Joanne Barr, remotely from Macomb County, City of Fraser, Michigan.
great,
I am here.
wonderful. Member Cook,
Don Cook, attending remotely from Macomb County, Fraser, Michigan.
Member Zarnecki,
I'm present. I'm attending remotely from Macomb County, City of Fraser, Michigan.
Member Farina,
Frank Farina, attending remotely from the Macomb County, City of Fraser, Michigan.
Member Kyle,
John Kyle, remoting from Macomb County, City of Fraser, Michigan.
Member Perry,
Kenneth Perry Jr., attending remotely from the Macomb County, City of Fraser, 48026.
and Chairperson Warnock.
Randy Warnick attending remotely from Macomb County, City of Fraser, Michigan.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. So on to item number 3, the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda for March 3rd, 2021 meeting as printed.
I'll second it.
Good.
Who was the second?
Member
Frank
Perry,
or I, it doesn't matter.
Ken is fine.
All right, so we have motion by Commissioner Kyle and supported by Commissioner Perry. Let's do a roll call.
Member Kyle,
Yes.
Member Perry,
Yes.
Member Barr,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Zarnecki,
Yes,
Member Farina,
Yes.
and Chairperson Warnock.
Yes,
Okay, motion carries.
thank you, Ms. Traxler. So we're on to agenda item number 4, opening remarks. Tonight's meeting will follow the agenda that was posted online. Before we begin, it's important to let everyone know that the Planning Commission is created by state law. The commission is comprised of 7 members, all of whom have volunteered to serve. Members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by city council. When roll call is conducted as we did previously this evening, the Open Meetings Act requires each member who is attending remotely to announce the following: attending remotely from County, Township, City, Village, Michigan. The role of the Planning Commission is to plan and promote the efficient, coordinated development of the city for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. We are not here to negotiate with applicants or allow everything an applicant is requesting. However, the Planning Commission does have the power to approve certain requests and recommend others, depending on the nature of the request and whether all the standards in the zoning ordinance have been met. Planning Commission may also impose conditions on a proposed project in order to ensure that those standards are met. Other individuals with us here tonight are representatives from the legal firm of O'Reilly Rancilio PC and representatives from McKenna and Associates. Procedure followed by the Planning Commission for public hearings first involves the city planner providing an overview of each case. After the overview is completed, the petitioner will be asked to provide additional information and answer any questions the commission members may have. After the commission's questions, the public will be invited to speak. Each person will have one opportunity to speak, must only speak directly to that specific case, and must only address the commission, not the petitioner or anyone else in attendance. After the public has had an opportunity to speak, commission members may again ask questions of the petitioner, and then the commission will consider a motion. Now that we've gone over these guidelines, we'll begin our agenda for this evening. Move forward with item number 5, approval of the minutes of the meeting of February 3rd, 2021. Does anybody have any comments or discussion? I do, if nobody else does.
I do also.
Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
You go ahead, Chair Warnick, and I will follow.
Okay, on page 5, where it has Warnick noted that the site plan should be developed as it was approved at the second paragraph there. I even went back to double check that because I didn't think I said that, and I didn't. I basically went over a lot that there's a lot of confusion in this. So probably be better if that was just said that we just discussed different avenues to go with that.
Sure.
Otherwise, you know, we could get crazy with this stuff. I know when I was always administration and trying to get minutes, it's tough to do everything. If you wrote you'd have to transcribe. It'd be the whole meeting. You're better off seeing the meeting, I guess. So we would always say discussion ensued and stuff like that. And it's like, then you look back at the minutes, you know, 2 years later and you go, discussion ensued, but what happened? I don't know. So it's tough. So, but if I know that I didn't say that because I know site plan, any site plan can have changes over time. And that was my feeling at that time. So I just wanted to make that point.
Got it.
Kathy?
So what do you want the minutes to say, Randy? I'm at a loss.
Well, it was a long drawn out thing I did, and how confusing it was with going all different ways with this. So I basically didn't take a position. I wanted to hear all the different remarks. So I would say we just discussed different avenues for what could happen with that change in the site plan.
Mr. Chair, if I may, do
Yes.
you think that something along the lines of Warnick supports exploring different avenues to
Yes.
be considered by the Planning Commission in the future? Or
That's
something?
what I said, didn't I?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. That was good. That's exactly how it was.
Okay.
All right. And Kathy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a few items. On the first page, also present, Donald Denault. I'm not sure if Mr. Denault was present at that meeting. I could be wrong, but his name might have been a carryover from the previous meeting.
His name was a carryover.
Okay. That would be one. Second one would be item number 3. The ayes are 6 and nays are no, but I think it should be noted too. I think Commissioner Barr was muted, and maybe that should be noted so we know why there's only 6 yeses to that resolution. On page 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th paragraph, my comments in regards to the hours of operation. It states the way it reads, I don't like the way it reads. It says it should have the hours of operation between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. as per the city ordinance. It sounds like the ordinance stipulates those timeframes. I would prefer that the comments are more direct, saying that I support limiting the hours of operation and make it as a condition of the special land use approval. And I have a few more. Now we're going to go to page number 5, the resolution for the Max Manzini Garfield Park agenda item. You have 6 ayes, 1 nay. I would prefer that my name be written down, that I was the one who opposed. Okay, so make that notation. On that same page, it would be under the city master plan, the word carried is incorrect.
Well, Kathy, didn't we do a roll call? And wouldn't that show up in the roll call?
On which one item?
The nay.
Well, yes, but if somebody who looks at the minutes doesn't know that, that's what I'm saying. When these minutes are forwarded to city council, it would be best to know. That's how I prepare minutes. If you don't want to prepare minutes, I'm not being fussy. I just would like my name noted as I oppose to that resolution.
Yeah. So basically moving forward, if that's okay with everyone, we could just make it a rule that if there was a dissenting vote, then we specify who those dissenters are, basically.
Sure.
Okay.
We can make that a regular procedure.
Yep.
Yes, I think it should be a regular procedure,
Well,
but
if
that's
we're
just
doing-
my thoughts.
Or if we're doing a roll call, I mean,
Yeah, we could list everyone.
I think that's what you ought to do.
Okay,
And overall, the minutes are misnumbered. That's what I noted. If you go to page 4, unfinished business is itemized as number 12. It should be 7 and going forward. So there's just kind of a misnumbering.
yeah,
I-
That's a 7. I don't see an 8. So 9 is the next one, right?
Yeah, it kind of follows through. However, it's,
we'll match it up with the agenda.
Yeah.
That's,
Can I
and
ask?
that's all I have.
Okay, good. Thanks, Kathy.
No
Can I
problem.
ask if when we have these kind of corrections and that, do we get a copy maybe emailed to each of us if it's gonna, because it's gonna get forwarded. I just hate to see a second mistake get made. And if somebody sees something else, how do you do that? Since I haven't been involved with that.
yeah, I think we can definitely email them out. I remember recently, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to recall what the conversation was, even, here with this planning commission, there was a question about noting which revisions were made. I remember I think it was to kind of close the loop so that everyone saw what the revisions were.
Yeah, it seems to me we've had the next meeting gotten 2 sets.
Yeah,
And
why
because it
don't,
really doesn't have to be, it could be put off a month to send those to council, right? Since
yes,
there is some amendments.
yes. And I think what it was is that actually in the current month's minutes, if there are revisions,
Are you getting any video or audio on that?
um, if there are revisions, like this evening in tonight's meeting minutes, we would note that the discussion that took place about the February minutes saying such revisions would be made to the February minutes. So that you would
Okay.
actually see that also described in tonight's meeting minutes. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
And in fact, that's required by the Open Meetings Act to reflect what the actual changes are that are made.
Yes, so I think last month there weren't any revisions, but we'll make sure that we'll just put some procedures in place to make sure that we do that moving forward. If we haven't been, I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Seems like we did do some before. I just can't remember not to being in charge here of doing it. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be more efficient if we find those in our packets when we get them emailed to probably get a hold of Paul before the meeting so he can, maybe make those corrections before we all get together and, be more efficient at doing this? Isn't that what we decided we were going to do prior to this? I can't remember whether it was on this board or the zoning board where that's what we said we should do.
So if I got you right, Frank, you're basically saying make the corrections.
Yeah,
And
call him if you got a correction, and so he can update it before the night, and we don't have to go through big corrections.
Frank, I do think that at some point it has to be in the minutes what the corrections were that were made, though.
After they get published, yes, I agree. But unless they get published, they're a rough draft.
Yeah,
But you're
I just think, yeah,
You're not given
I
2
think-
sets. You would have to give 2 sets to show the correction then. So maybe this is the best way, the way we're doing it. We go through it at the meeting. We follow it up with the next meeting then.
I agree with that.
Last month's meeting, there was a lot of content too. So most months, I don't think that there's, kind of quite
Right.
this. And we'll just redouble our efforts to, really make sure there's not, kind of editing mistakes and typos and everything as well. So we can probably cut out about half of those.
Okay.
Good with that? Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, my comment is when you were running the building court or the building department, that's the way we used to do it. You used to ask us to hand in any explanations before the meeting.
I think if I remember, there was something, and then the secretary would type it up right away or put
Right.
together the new ones. But like Clark's saying, if Clark says it needs to show,
I'm gonna look it up while we're talking so that I can know exactly what the Open Meetings Act says, and I'll tell
Okay.
you.
I would think as long as we get the final one right, it just makes sense, but
I would agree.
whatever we have to do, we'll do it that way.
I agree with what Frank said about if you get them early as a draft, then we can have it done before the meeting.
Mhm. You're not there to discuss with others if it becomes something like, oh no, that's not what was said, or this, or, this is an opportunity to, say something if I said something wrong there, and you could say, nah, that's not what you said,
Well, the part that you brought up, Brandy, the Warwick noted that the site plan should be developed as it was approved. I remember that being said. I don't think it was you that said it, but it was
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, it was, I think Kathy had it right before. I watched the whole meeting yesterday
Yeah.
again. And, but if you put
Here-
every item in there, there's no way you can do it. The best thing is sure, watch the meeting, but
Here's what the Open Meetings Act says. It says each public body shall keep minutes of each meeting showing the date, time, place, members present, members absent, any decisions made at the meeting open to the public, and the purpose or purposes for which a closed session is held. The minutes shall include all roll call votes taken at the meeting. The public body shall make any corrections in the minutes at the next meeting after the meeting to which the minutes refer. So you're supposed to make them at the next meeting. So the public body shall make corrected minutes available at or before the next subsequent meeting after correction. So let me read that again. The public body shall make any corrections in the minutes at the next meeting after the meeting to which the minutes refer. And then it says the public body shall make corrected minutes available at or before the next subsequent meeting after correction. So it looks like you're supposed to state what the corrections are no later than the meeting after the meeting took place. So if in January, you'd say it in February. And then the corrections get made and the public body, the planning commission, has to make the corrected minutes available at or before the next meeting, which would be March. So the answer to that is you should know what the changes are at the meeting after the actual meeting, and then the staff should make the corrections and then distribute those and make them available before the next meeting.
okay.
And the sentence, which I forgot to put in, the corrected minutes are supposed to show both the original entry and the correction.
Hmm. Okay, so, and I did hear you say something about the roll call voting on there. So does
Yes,
that mean we should be showing the whole roll call vote?
I think so on anything that a roll call vote is taken on. And now, obviously, some things you don't take a roll call vote on. I mean, you don't normally take roll call votes on procedural things like to adjourn the meeting or to things like that. So
I think we have been though, haven't we?
well, you can't. There's not any reason you're
Well,
not allowed to if you want to, but
It-
the other
Clark, Just to clarify, I thought that there was something about the virtual meetings order that required the roll call for every vote.
I think that Don told me that that has been changed.
Okay,
I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure that that they eliminated that requirement. That I can't remember whether it was that or they eliminated the requirement that you have to state what city you're from. But I'll check on that and let everybody know by the next meeting.
If you can do that, we'll just stick with the same way then for this meeting.
Yeah.
And then wait till we hear from you any different.
Okay.
Okay, that'll make the meetings go a little quicker. All right, so we need an approval of, we need to make a motion then, I guess, to approve with the corrections.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay,
I'll
is
move-
anybody want to make that
move-
motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the minutes as corrected.
Do we have
I'll
a support? Okay, so we have moved by Commissioner Farina, supported by Commissioner Zarnecki.
great. Commissioner
right.
Farina,
Yes,
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
Chair Warnock.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, let's move on to item number 6, new business. There are no public hearings, so we go to B, site plans and other reviews. And we have site plan 21-001 J Parks on behalf of Fraser CS LLC regarding 32-200 Groesbeck Highway as proposed building addition. Is the petitioner present?
Yes.
Okay. So if Paul, you want to give us a background on this?
Sure. So this is 32-200 Groesbeck Highway. It's a former bank building that you see in the upper left or upper right corner there that currently houses a business called Cremation Source, which is a cremation planning business. And our understanding is that this is the business office for this company, and they facilitate the the occurrence of cremations out of this office, mostly through internet traffic. They have been in this building for a little while. The subject of this application is the canopy that you see in the front here, which is being proposed to be enclosed for a storage facility to accommodate increased growth in their business, and also the applicant states to sort of change the appearance of the outside of the building because it looks like a bank, which it was designed to be. So that proposal would add about 1,580 square feet of occupiable space under that, what is now the canopy. The building addition is proposed to be used as storage. There's a loading door and access from the rear of the canopy with a loading space delineated there. There's also the part of the proposal is to extend the curb in the existing landscape across the front of what would then be the rest of the facade of the building. Other than changing that, the proposal states that existing parking, pavement, drainage, site utilities, and lighting are to remain. In reviewing this, we noted a couple of things, one of which was the circulation. We recommended that in their presentation or in their clarifying comments, the applicants describe what kind of vehicles will be serving the facility and what they'll be taking in and out of there, primarily to just confirm that the circulation that was designed as a bank will accommodate the new use. it seems adequate from our perspective if there's a panel truck or if things are being delivered by car. Anything larger than that, it just seems like it could be a little tight, so we recommend that they clarify that. There also was in an earlier version of a plan just some a lack of clarity about what the dimension was between the facade all the way to the north of the canopy and the curb. The public safety review noted that just asked for clarity about what that dimension was because they the public safety director was concerned about having to turn around a fire truck in the lot once the addition is built. You'll see that in your packets and on the screen there, that dimension is 19'6", which the applicant submitted in response to that inquiry. And we just need to confirm with the public safety director that that is adequate in their eyes. We had another comment about the construction of the facade, just based on the design set. And after that comment, the applicant provided this cut sheet, just stating that the facade will be clad in the set. The building's proposed to be clad in masonry to match the existing building on the base, and then this aluminum composite panel along the front, which from our perspective is appropriate, and it's a nice material. But again, our comments were just that we would recommend that the applicant clarify the cladding and the color so that the planning commission is satisfied that the result will be appropriate for the site. And then you also, I emailed to you after your packets went out, this statement just sort of clarifying the objectives of the addition and what the applicant is trying to do and what the proposed use of the facility will be. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Would you like to, I guess, should we take it through to our recommendation of conditions, or should we wait till you
Let's go see if the petitioner first has anything to add to that, and then we'll get the board to ask questions. Mr. Parks, if you could first give your name and address and your affiliation.
Jay Parks, address is 3155 West Big Beaver in Troy, Michigan. And I was engaged as a contractor. And I've been working with the architect. And Terry, the architect, I thought he was on, but I guess I don't see him. Are you there, Terry?
He's here, he's muted.
The screen tells me I am unmuted. Okay.
Okay, if you want to give your name and address too, Terry.
It's Terry Billivis. Address is 2014 Glenwood, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48310. Hey,
Okay.
Frank.
Oh, Terry.
Gentlemen, if any of you you want to add to anything to the presentation by Mr. Urbiel?
No, the only comment, if you go back to the elevation, if you could, Paul, or even the photo. So we've been able to find what looks to be almost an exact match of that masonry. It's like a glazed, kind of a bluish, purplish brick block. You can see around the window there. So we're going to carry that all the way across and around. And then the composite panel, the cut sheet is basically a profile of the panel. It doesn't essentially have the colors available, which are the Kynar colors. Is about 35 of them. So we have not chosen a color, and be happy to work with anybody on that. But the initial thought was to, try and get something that kind of blends. You can't really see the rest of the building, at least I can't, but we're trying to come up with something that works with the pattern and flavor of what's already there.
Okay, Terry, you have anything to add?
Well, this building is actually licensed as a funeral home. And occasionally they will bring bodies through this facility. And this screen, it's really little more than a fence that's attached to the existing canopy. Would give us a little more privacy from Groesbeck Highway. And fortunately, the shrubbery that you see on that photograph at the front of the building was not part of the original submission. So I don't know what the shrubs were. And when I talked to Paul about it, we had 10 inches of snow on top of those shrubs, so they couldn't be identified. I think the one vague area we have is what those shrubs are, but I think they can be easily identified and matched. At this point, I don't know what they are.
Okay, I think I need to make a quick comment because you said something about bodies coming through. And this was originally, I was here and worked with the petitioner on this. And this was just going to be office space. That's all this was.
It
So
basically is, but it is licensed as a funeral home.
I don't see anything where that was presented to us. Mr. Erbiel, did we get anything?
No, it was
that?
not presented to us. So that was part of the reason for this letter. In the initial conversation and in the application, I believe the owner stated that it's a business office and that all funeral home functions
My understanding is
exist outside.
It is basically a business office, but and I'm not sure why it's licensed as a funeral home, but it is.
All right, any other board members have any questions for the petitioners?
Yeah, I do. That was my question to Paul, was are there going to be any bodies or body storage in this facility? And I was told absolutely not. Now, that's incorrect?
That's pretty much what I've been told by the owner,
My understanding as well.
Komrowski. But I believe the building is licensed as a funeral home.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Chairman Zarnicki.
Well, I have a question. So we're discussing about whether it's a funeral home or not, or whether there are bodies. If there are bodies going through this building, does that mean it's not zoned appropriately?
It would mean that it's a special land use.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, thank you.
So we basically can't proceed if that's going to be the case, and if they want to go that direction, we would have to go through a special land.
At this point in time, I don't know of any bodies that are going through that facility. I think it's more of an arrangement center. But even as a storage facility, if they're getting shipments through that canopy, this would screen it off from Groesbeck Highway.
Shipments being what, Terry?
I would imagine office supplies. They do have a funeral home in Warren, that is where all of the funeral activities go on. But they have storage needs for.
I've been told is they take delivery on urns and they take delivery on, I don't know if the right terminology, but basically it's a cardboard box that is then brought down to the crematorium, which is down the road. And those boxes are approximately 7 feet long when they're folded out.
And no remains are brought back to this site from what I.
No, they take the urn, from what I understand, that the urns are brought in there, given to the families. Then they go down to and I know it's nearby. I don't exactly know where it's at.
Yeah.
But all the arrangements are made at this facility. If you've been in the building, there's no room for anything. It's
right.
It's got like a conference room and I think one office and like a kitchenette.
Yeah, it was just a small bank.
Yeah, there's not room for anything in there.
Well, why would they bring a body in there? I mean,
Well,
They can.
That-
there's room.
that's not part of their operation right now. And I don't know that, I don't think it's going to be. With the funeral home in Warren, that's where their actual handling of bodies takes place.
Correct.
I don't know of any reason for them to bring a body through this building, but I was told that it is licensed as a funeral home. But it's not used as a funeral, for any funeral services.
I'm gonna tell you, if you're gonna ask, if they're gonna ask me to approve a site plan, one of my conditions would be that there are no remains that
Well, yeah,
ever come into that facility.
if you look at his letter, he states it right there. At no time is there any traditional funeral services provided, hosted within the building, i.e. visitation, funeral hosting, embalming, storage of human remains. All traditional funeral services are held at Tomrowski Funeral Home in Warren.
Okay.
That's how it's always been described to me as well.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Andrews.
on the basis of that letter, unless they are changing their request at this meeting, I think you could proceed with, and as Frank has indicated, include a condition that there would not be any, visitation, funeral hosting, embalming, storage of human remains on the premises as stated in their letter dated February 25th, 2021. And then if it turned out that they wanted to do any of those activities, then they would have to come back to the city and get their approval.
I agree. So we can proceed with this. I just, Terry, you threw something, thing into the fire here
Yeah.
that.
I don't think David would have any problem with that.
No,
Because all of their funeral activities take place in Warren.
Yes, I've talked to David before too. And
Yeah.
there was not supposed to be anything like that. So I'm going to rely on David being the owner in this letter. So as long as we still address it, that any other activity would have to go through special land use and go through a whole process of noticing and everything. So, we'll leave that for anybody making a motion if they go in the affirmative, then to add that in as part of the motion, like Mr. Andrews said. So any other questions to the petitioner though?
I have one. Isn't it a requirement that whatever is on the front of the facade be wrapped around halfway down the side of the facade toward the back of the building? I can ask Randy that, or I can ask Sarah that. Isn't that part of the front facade is supposed to wrap around the building?
I'm thinking of what we did last year, that we made that a requirement, but I don't know.
Yeah, Paul, it looks like you know the section.
Well, we are wrapping the side the same. It's gonna have the masonry going down the side and then the cladding.
Okay, good.
Or that's the intent. But if you look at the elevation drawings.
Yep. So now are we changing colors here, or are they?
Well, we're using the same masonry, and then we're introducing the panel that can come in. Like I said, I think it's somewhere between 20 and 30 different colors.
But you would use, when you're presenting to us, we would have a color that you're picking already. So what would that color be?
Oof.
Yeah.
I don't know how close we can get to the brick color. It's like a purplish blue, depending on how the light hits it. So I don't know if it would end up being blue or, I don't know.
Usually at a meeting like this, we would have the exact material present to the board to make their final decision on. Because all of a sudden, if we say one thing and then you bring something different in there, and everybody says, "Whoa, that's not That's
Yeah,
not
I
what,
didn't know how much architectural control there is, but I can tell you we've not chosen a color.
we've had it before, whereas me as building official, I had the finals. I would make a decision. If a board wants to go that route, we give somebody that authority. But I leave that up to the board.
I don't have a problem giving Paul that authority, or,
Yeah.
you know, since he's gonna be our liaison with, you know, he's the planner.
I agree with that. Commissioner Zarnecki, you had something?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did do a site visit, number of things. Well, first of all, I want to say to Mr. Bilivis, I'm impressed with the hand-drawn architectural site plan. It's quite a skill you have. I do remember your name too, Mr. Bilivis, but I worked for the city of Troy for many years in the planning department, so I know your name very well. For my site visit, a couple of things. The shrubbery, the snow was off when I went to visit the site. The shrubbery in front looks in very, very good shape. The whole building looks very nicely maintained. So my compliments to the owner on that. There's a lot of parking. I was wondering if all of that parking is ever used,
No,
and it's not, right?
no.
And
not
I was
even
wondering
close.
if there was anything else we could do with that land, if we could land bank it somehow and make it prettier in the back. But also the dumpster, Mr. Parks, or if you can address the dumpster, or Mr. Bilivis, there is no door on the dumpster. So will you be required to put a door on it, or do we take the dumpster down? It's just looks like three brick walls. And it does look like there's a light fixture on the side that needs to kind of be taken away.
I honestly didn't even look at that. The drawing shows doors, but
I did not
we
see a
weren't doing
door.
anything with the dumpster as part of this, but
That might have
Right.
been part of the original site plan. Do you remember when that site plan came to us?
Oh, okay.
Because we did discuss it during that time period.
tank, you mean?
I went back all the way to 2012 and I couldn't find it. I thought it was around 13 or 14 but
Sure, you were able to find some of those original drawings, weren't you?
that was the manufacturer's bank from 1990.
Yeah.
But what about when
Oh, yeah.
Tomrowski's came forward with the building originally? I couldn't find anything going back through agendas, but I know I was there. I just can't remember when. It didn't seem like it was that long ago. Because you can see the building, it doesn't look like it's war. It's never had changed from the time it was first
Built, yeah.
done. So I know I was going to look and then see about things like the dumpster enclosure and things like that. But I'm sure it's in the building records at the city.
If I may, I think it's absolutely reasonable to require that dumpster be maintained in current, to current code standards, including, having a gate that's compliant with that section of the ordinance.
Seems reasonable.
Don't see any objection in that. Okay, so we can always include that as part of our motion. Thanks, Sarah. Just to bring up a quick thing, I did call Sergeant Poole today to find out about that distance for emergency vehicles at the north end. And it sounded like Director Pettis made contact with somebody. Any of you know who it was? Was it you, Jay, or?
No.
Okay, because he said that he had made contact and they moved something. That's the most I can get out of him, and I couldn't get a hold of Director Pettis. So I thought maybe you would have had that was the person that found out. So he's pretty confident that they said it's okay for that distance, because that was the question in public safety comments. So I wanted to make sure, but if you haven't heard anything.
No, I didn't. Again, we're not doing anything on the drive and all that is exactly how it is.
Yeah, and I think it, and that's why I was looking for the old site plan too, because I remember discussing that with the public safety director at that time. And we went through that. A emergency vehicle could have no problem on that 19'6"
Yeah,
side
it looks
over
like
there.
they kind of bowed it out. So I bet you that was adjusted then. I bet
That
you
could
it went
be.
straight across and then they bowed it out to.
That could be.
Pick up
Without
that
seeing
plan.
that, I couldn't tell you for sure, but it sounds like it. So again, that could be part of a motion too, that it does meet public safety requirement without having a definite. Because Paul, I talked to you, you didn't get any info on that, did you?
Correct. I have not heard back, and I know that Sergeant Poole was out of town when
Yeah.
this was first happening, so Director Pettis was carrying that out, and I don't know if he was waiting for Sergeant Poole to do the final confirmation or.
Yeah, and when I talked to Sergeant Poole today, he had already said that Director Pettis took care of whatever. So, but he wasn't sure exactly either whatever it was.
Right. Well, yeah, we can definitely follow up to.
Yeah.
Well, that could be another that the public safety has to, prove, the dimensions for, for the safety vehicles.
I agree.
Randy, what is the minimum width? Isn't it 20 feet?
I can't remember because it's all dependent upon the vehicles that are here. If I remember, it used to be 22, but
22
that was
is
a long time ago.
one-way drive.
22?
Yeah, there's a one-way drive at the front of the property. It's only 12 feet wide. So
Yep.
without going back to the ordinance, I'm going to guess that a one-way drive can be 12 feet. Now, one thing I did find was that in the original drawings, that canopy extended to the north 8 feet from the center of the columns. When I went out and actually field measured it, it was only 5 feet. So I'm thinking that maybe there was an adjustment made.
You're right.
Yeah,
I
I think
remember
that-
something like that.
Yeah.
So the canopy was in the way.
Well, it may have been because the bottom of the canopy or the height from the pavement to the bottom of the canopy is only 11 feet. They may have pulled that back just to get a little bit wider drive.
Yeah, and then they warped out the drive a little bit is what it looks like.
Right.
Yeah,
Those
I
two.
think that's what happened. So really, if we could find those original, the plans, we should
Well,
have something.
I do have the original plans.
Not the ones from the manufacturers, because this was done at the site plan for cremation sources.
Ah, okay.
And I can't, nobody has that date of when the planning commission approved that. So we'll have to do some searching. There'll be a file in the building department or something. We can find out and do
We'll
some
follow up.
research there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure because of the way that look is and the way it pushed out, it might have been okay there. And I remember the overhang being an issue. So
That might be what it is, because I did find a discrepancy from the original construction drawings to what's actually in the field.
mhm.
And I would say right now that from the canopy to the edge of the curb is probably somewhere around 18 feet.
Okay.
And that's a one-way drive.
That's a one-way drive.
That's
That would
right.
be
Yeah.
So that's
both situations.
yeah,
One way being 19 and a half, that's a pretty.
that's pretty wide.
I think
don't
what
know
started the
what-
conversation was the emergency vehicle access, not just
Right.
the
Right. No, I
driveways.
understand.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, we're not changing it. Right?
Mhm.
From the edge of the canopy to the curb
Oh, I'm not touching that.
is what's
Yeah,
there.
you're
right
not
now.
making any changes to reduce that.
Right.
So either way, and I know we addressed it before at the previous. So it's probably covered from back then.
Right.
I just think with different personnel like Director Pettis and that it was probably something that just needed this research. So Paul, if you could find, well, I know it's there.
Sure.
I know there's something. Anybody else?
So what does that mean? We're tabling this, or? I mean,
I would think you could make that a condition
okay.
of because of it's just it sounds like from talking to Sergeant Poole that it was addressed, and looking at the letters or the letter we got from Director Pettis, he was waiting for Sergeant Poole to weigh in on it, and apparently they talked, but Sergeant Poole said Director Pettis had it taken care of. So that's the most info I got without being able to contact Director Pettis. My number to him came up with somebody else. So, Paul, I know Paul, if you're in there, you could make contact with him there. So
Yes.
I don't know. I would leave that up to the board to see how we would address that.
Okay.
Anything else? Oh, we didn't get a color,
No.
and that's going to be something too that the
Well,
board
we
might want to see.
thought we talked about maybe Paul being conditioned on Paul picking or approving.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So we've got that too. If anybody's taking notes and anybody wanna, well, let's go. Is the board set with all their questions? Sounds like it. Do we have anybody out in the audience?
I do not see anyone in the audience.
No one in the audience, no public comments?
Correct.
So I bring it back to the board. Does anybody have any further questions or want to make a motion?
Chair Warnick, if I may,
Yes.
Paul prepared some sample motions, and I've been taking notes on the matters that it sounded like might be turned into parts of those conditions.
Good. I appreciate that, Sarah, because we did talk, Frank brought that up at the last meeting.
Yeah.
And you guys talked about making some, having some motions already prepared. So that was good. Thanks.
So on the next slide, it's actually a sample motion for approval.
If I may just clarify this too, I apologize. I didn't, in my initial remarks, I did not make a comment about the city engineer's comments. The city engineer did mention that he has no objections to the site plan, but prior to the issuance of a building permit, he wanted to see a topographical survey to ensure that the drainage was not impeded. The applicant in your packets provided the old manufacturer's bank drawing that does have contours that sort of implies that. We didn't get an electronic version of that, so I was not able to close the loop with the city engineer as to whether or not that was adequate for his purposes. So I've included that as a recommended condition as well, just to resolve that issue.
Very good.
And then one more thing, the revised submission, which we got last week, was dated identically to the initial submission. So we would just ask that future revisions would catalog the revision dates.
Okay.
And then, given that, if you choose to approve it, here's a sample motion with those conditions plus what Sarah's been cataloging. And then we also, if you would choose to do something else, we have suggested motions for those as well.
Okay.
Boy, you're making our job easier.
Yes, I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the application SP 21-001 received by the City of Fraser on February 22nd, 2021. Reviewed in a letter by McKenna dated February 24th, 2021, to construct a 1,584 square foot building addition with additional landscaping and related improvements at 32,200 Groesbeck Highway, subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant confirms with the city's satisfaction that appropriate emergency vehicle access is preserved on the north driveway. 2, the applicant demonstrates that to the city engineer's satisfaction that the proposed enclosure does not impede or modify existing surface drainage patterns. 3, that the applicant provide a revision date to all future submitted plans. 4, that absolutely no corpses, cadavers, or human remains would be brought onto the premises at any time. 5, that the dumpster be brought up to current city regulations and codes. Did I miss anything?
And
Yes.
Paul to approve the colors.
And that we
Frank,
grant,
what was item number 3?
the applicant provide a revision date on all future revised submitted plans. I think it's up on the screen.
If I may, Member Farina, in your first, I'm sorry, the fourth condition regarding the use of the property, you may also want to add that it may only be used as stated in the letter dated February 25th, 2021 by the applicant.
Thank you. I would love that in there.
Okay. Do we have support for that?
Is
I'll
there any,
support.
Are there any other things we missed?
yes, the item
gotta-
number 6 was to give the approval for the color choices to the city planner, Paul Herbal, for the planning commission, since they are not available at this meeting.
I support.
So we got a motion by Commissioner Farina, supported by Commissioner Zarnecki. Let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Farina,
Yes,
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
and Chairman Warnick.
Yes,
Great, motion carries.
motion carries. Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, we will get you stamped drawings. And this will be, the items on this will be put into a, I don't know, a letter form or something so that you're aware of everything. We appreciate your time here tonight. And we will set up something where you can get those stamped drawings and sign, because of the way we're holding our meetings, I have to come and sign things after. And so
Let
we'll
us-
get that.
Okay. Thank you very much, all.
Thanks for being here.
Have a
Have a
terrific
good night.
You
good to
too.
see you, Terry.
I see you, Frank.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's go to item number 7, unfinished business. 7A, the 2020 Fraser Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals Annual Report. And this continues from last month's where we just called it the Fraser Planning Commission Annual Report and changed into a planning and zoning. Paul, do you have anything to add to this?
No, just to say that we tried to revise per your comments last time. Mr. Andrews provided us a suggested edit to switch the development reviews and variances so that the order of the two bodies is consistent throughout the report, which I thought was a good suggestion, and plan to implement that if you agree.
Now, are you going to send a copy to all the ZBA members?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I mean, otherwise, I guess then what we would just ask for is that you move to accept it, unless there's more revisions that you would like, that you accept it, and then we will instruct us to send it to City Council and the
File
ZBA.
and goes to City Council then. Okay, so
I'll
Were
move
there
to-
any other questions first, though? Anybody have?
I'll
Nothing?
move
I
to
did a good
approve
job.
the zoning. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
John, Kyle, Commissioner
No,
Kyle?
that's fine. Go ahead, Frank.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I
So
move to-
any motion?
I move to approve the draft 2020 Fraser Planning Commission and ZBA Board of Appeals Annual Meeting and instruct the staff to transmit it to City Council for their approval.
Do we have support?
I'll support.
Okay, so we have a move by Commissioner Farina, supported by Commissioner Kyle, to recommend that motion. Roll call?
Commissioner Farina,
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
and Chairperson Warnick.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you, Ms. Traxler. And so let's go on to 7B, Master Plan.
So that's my update to introduce. After your February meeting, we were able to have the draft be considered by City Council at their February meeting. And of course, that consideration was to distribute the plan for the requirements of the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. 3 of you were in attendance, Commissioner Zarnecki, Kyle, and Farina. And Danielle and I presented the draft and received very favorable input from City Council. I think they're excited about the direction of the plan, and they unanimously voted to approve distribution of the plan. So Secretary Perry was able to exercise some of his, secretary prowess and sign some formal correspondence to all of the required distribution entities. And we got that sent
Alrighty.
out last Wednesday.
Very good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Comments are due, I think, April 28th, which means that at your April meeting, we'll discuss with you whether you want to go ahead and have us publish for the public hearing at your May meeting for the master plan, which would be the earliest meeting that would be possible for that to be on, and would be appropriate if you're eager to get it adopted. So we are in that waiting period, and I'm happy to answer any more questions.
Great job, team.
Yeah. You guys did a very nice job.
Good presentation. Yeah, I watched that meeting. It was, you guys did great, as always, the whole process all the way through to this. So we're just chugging along now.
One thing I just remembered is that Commissioner Zarnecki asked for a printout of the distributed draft. That is the version that's on the city's website, but we're happy to print that out and maybe even mail it to you, since there's not like a time crunch right now, because we could have it printed from our office, which just kind of has a little bit of a faster printer than City Hall. It extends Hall's
That
office
would be
hours.
great.
I'd love to have a copy mailed to me.
Yep.
Me
That
too.
would be wonderful.
Okay.
And then
So-
the final would be like a regular bound book.
Yes, that's right.
So we'll get that when everything's final and done.
Yes.
So,
So I hear Zarnecki, Kyle, can everyone else who wants a copy of this?
I would like one autographed.
Like
You know-
one.
yeah.
Yes.
Autograph.
You know what we should do is actually just distribute it to all of you, because this will be
Yeah.
the public hearing draft.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
We're gonna do
fantastic.
Sarah, can you email
Yeah.
me the draft? I don't need you to print one out for me, but I'd like to print out the latest and greatest.
Sounds perfect.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so that'll be dealt with, well before the packets go out for your May public, assuming it's in May, your public hearing. So you'll have that within the next couple of weeks.
Very good. Do we need a motion on anything here? I think we're just following the plan that we already
Yes.
accepted.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right.
No,
Okay.
I don't think any motion's necessary.
Sounds good. Thanks again for all your time
Yeah.
and what's happening with it. It's going to be great.
I think
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair.
Zarnicki had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, two things, Ms. Traxler, if you choose not to mail the items to everyone, I'd be more than happy if you want to drop them off here, or I can pick up City Hall and I can distribute. More than happy to do that.
Okay.
Okay. And number two, yes, the team did a great presentation to City Council, and I have to apologize. I was there present. I was listening. As a grandparent, I was on call with my grandchildren, and they were sending me a couple of distress texts. So I had to make sure that I was available to answer them. So I was uncomfortable speaking. So I apologize. But thank you very much for your effort to City Council.
Thank you. And
Thanks
that was-
for attending, you guys. That really was good.
I forgot to mention, that was also Paul's introduction to City Council. So, we expect that he'll be presenting on complex projects or ordinance amendments in the future. So it was nice that he was able to attend as well.
Good. All right. Any other comments? All right. Well, let's proceed. We got that going. All right. So number 8, item 8 is public communications and non-agenda items. I don't believe there's anybody out there, is there still?
That's correct.
Okay. So we'll move on to number 9, the infamous Zoning Board of Appeals member liaison report.
The mysterious zoning board of appeals. They seem to have disappeared from the face of the earth. Sarah canceled our meeting because there was no business. So that's done.
We're going to forget who was on the board.
I won't forget.
I think we have to have an election though. Do we have to have a meeting for that election, Sarah?
Yeah, I'll check in with the city clerk just to see if we should have one in April maybe for that purpose. And I'll re-review the statute. Forgive me for not remembering off the top of my head what the minimum requirements are as well, if there are.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, commissioner comments, items of interest or concern. Let's
Mr.
start with,
Chairman,
yes.
I have an answer to the two questions that you guys asked earlier. One was whether commissioners still have to state where they're attending from if it's a remote meeting. The answer to that is yes, you still do. The second question was, are roll call votes still required on all votes at remote meetings? And the answer to that is no.
Oh, okay.
So,
So I'll try to remember that, and you can remind me if I start bothering Sarah with her roll call. She's getting so good at that.
That's
all
true.
right. I'm not saying you shouldn't do roll call on substantive things, but I'm
Right.
just saying that you don't have to do it on every single thing. One of the prior provisions of the remote law said that you had to do everything by roll call vote. They've taken that out.
Okay. I would say we stick with the regular site plans and special land use hearings and
I think that's in your bylaws that way anyway, but I just think on the things that are kind of just procedural things,
Yep.
you don't have to take a roll call vote on that.
all right. That sounds
Okay.
good. How's
All right.
anybody feel any different on that?
That's fine with me.
Okay. Okay, that's the way we'll proceed then. Put me in my place if I start doing it though. All right, so commissioner comments. Commissioner Barr, anything?
I don't have anything at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Cook.
Everybody be safe. See you next month.
You. Commissioner Zarnicki.
Next month, I'll see you next month. Or do we have anything coming up next month? That would be my question.
Paul.
Not certainly at the moment. I've had a couple of conversations. I had a pre-application meeting about an industrial property on Kelly Road, but so I think it's possible that one will be next month if they get their application in soon. But that so far that's the only thing on the horizon that I'm aware of.
So we don't have any master plan things until, what would be the next time for that?
That would be actually the first Wednesday in May.
That'll wait
So
be then, okay. So we've got April, so no matter what, if anything, it would just be no meeting in April if nothing's going on. So we'll find out on that. So we definitely have a May meeting though, right? Or is it, or our first May meeting would be, yeah, May 5th, wasn't it? So it would be, I think it was. It was how you stated it in procedure there of adopting the code, the
yes,
master plan. I mean.
let me look at the date right now. That is
May 5th.
indeed May 5th.
Yes, so that will be our, if no meeting in April, that for sure will be our next meeting then after that.
Yeah, and there's
Mr.
nothing
Chair-
in the Planning Enabling Act that says that you have to call for the public hearing. So we can, even if you don't have your April meeting, we can go ahead and notice that May meeting for your public hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Andrews, you have something?
I was just gonna suggest just what Sarah said was that maybe the planning commission would wanna do a motion to authorize or direct the city planner to give the notice so that the public hearing can be held in May, even if we don't have an April meeting.
Can we do that tonight, right now then?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, anybody want to make that motion?
Okay.
I'll move to direct the city planner to send out notices for a public hearing for our May 5th meeting.
I'll support.
Support by, okay, motion by Farina, support by Kyle. I guess we do our last roll call, since we got it all in this meeting. Our last roll call that's for everything.
One last hurrah. Commissioner Farina,
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
and Chair Warnock.
Yes.
Great.
All right. So we got that taken care of. So no matter what, if we don't have anything in April, we don't have to feel like we have to get anything to do with the master plan then. We can
Right.
proceed to May 5th. Okay. Back to commissioner comments still. Chairman or Commissioner Zarnecki, did you have any more to
I
add?
am all set. Thank you. Everyone be safe.
Okay. Commissioner Farina.
Yes, I drove by 13 Mile in Groesbeck, the infamous, it used to be a
Massiminos.
Massimino's music store, and that's under construction and they're reworking the facade, so that's a good sign. I wanted to ask Sarah if there's anything happening with the building on the other building on Groesbeck, the one with the red roof and the white exterior.
The Dairy Queen?
I was gonna say, is that
Yeah.
yes. I am aware of some required updates and deadlines for the property owner, and I think some of it is related also to the weather changing for some of the cosmetic improvements that are required to be made. So I think within the next 2 months you should see some improvements.
Good,
Okay.
good. I highly recommend if you haven't gotten your COVID shots to do it. I know that since I've got my second one, it's been like 2 weeks now. It's like kind of a weight's lifted off your shoulders, a gloom kind of goes away and you feel a little more open and a little more able to do things. So I recommend that for everybody, but everybody stay safe. Don't forget to wear your masks and enjoy yourselves.
Thanks, Frank.
Right.
Commissioner Kyle.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Perry.
Not tonight. Just have a good night, everyone.
All right. And I just wanted to say one thing. I would Friday night, my wife had me stop at Myers and I was coming from my daughter's working at her place in Dearborn and I had to go Myers late and Taco Bell is open. I am wondering, I'm not sure, it probably has a temporary CFO, I'm hoping, because of the weather. I hope it's not a full C of O because there's no blocking. When I turned into there, after I said, I brought that up at the meeting about the lighting and filtering that lighting, it was so weird that because I had lights coming from me on the left and lights coming from me at the right. It was such a weird feeling because you never have that driving around. You have your traffic coming at you on the left. This one had the bright light shining right at me there and a car coming the other way. It was like a perfect plan of why I brought that up. So I just want to make sure that they're going to get the buffer in there. And that's why I was hoping it was probably a temporary C of O because of the winter time.
I have an email from February 25th that it is a temporary C of O. So we can follow up just to make sure on the landscaping, and we'll do the zoning inspection as well.
Yeah, I'm sure of that then. And that's all I had. Everybody have a safe till we meet again in April or May. Any motion for adjournment?
I will make a motion to adjourn March 3rd.
Second it.
Boy, it's been the Kyle and Farina show here. So Commissioner Kyle make motion and it was supported by Farina. Do we need, okay, let's get a roll call.
Oh, no.
I already zoned out though.
I know. That's
All in
okay.
favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we heard no nays, so I think we're okay. I think it passed. All right, see you all next time.